Thank you. So yeah, my name's Lawrence. I'm the owner of this company here, Foresight Property Partners. And basically now, at this current time, I work quite a lot with other investors and other clients who are looking to try and achieve sort of what they deem to be a dream lifestyle through property investing. So I try and do sort of one-on-one stuff with people, completely different to the whole PIN sort of movement where, I don't tell people they can earn £1 million in 6 weeks. I tell them they can earn £1 million in 6 years if they really, really work hard and make the right decisions, which is, of course, the warts and all version. So I'm talking to you today about a buzzword in property, financial freedom, which I know that's bandied around a lot, but I really want to get into the detail about what financial freedom means, mostly because I want to try and help the group, including myself, reflect on what does financial freedom mean to us, why do we want to achieve financial freedom, and when will we know that we've achieved it? So I wanted a hands up from somebody on what is financial freedom? Ben?
Having choices.
Having choices.
Yeah, being able to do what it is that you want to do and not being bound to a 9 to 5.
Okay, that's a good one. And why do we want that? Or something like that?
So we can go and do backwards flips and show people videos of us skiing.
So it's not location based.
Say again?
So it's not location based?
So we can have freedom of location, we can go travelling whenever we want. Anything else?
Freedom of time. Freedom of time.
Freedom of time to do the things that we enjoy. For me, it's cuddling my dog at the moment. That's what I've really got into.
To earn while you're sleeping.
Oh, that's a good one. Passive income. And when will we know that we've achieved this alleged financial freedom or this dream of financial freedom? At what point will we know that we are there?
We don't define it, we won't.
Okay. Anyone else?
When we get a Lamborghini.
When you get the Lamborghini, and then you borrow 100 grand on it to buy another house.
When you realise that your income doesn't drop if you stop working.
Good one. So you're no longer having to exchange time for money. So this is the topic I'm going to get us to think about today because it's 2024, it's the start of the year, we've all made big goals, or many of us have made big goals. And I think it's important for us to understand, in the context of what we're actually trying to achieve, why are we doing all of this, basically? What is it all for? All this running around, buying houses, chasing builders, dealing with planning, flipping houses, dealing with Airbnb, all the rest of it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, mainly to share with you sort of some of the challenges that I've experienced, some of the mistakes that I've made, and what caused me to try and pursue this dream of financial freedom. So I think there's two types of sort of challenges in life, or there's two main categories that I try and put life's challenges into. One of those categories is where we have lots of small challenges which ultimately make us stronger. And I've written a quote there, I may not be there yet, but I'm closer than I was yesterday. So what sort of small challenges do we experience as property investors on a daily basis or in work that make us stronger in the end, make us fitter, make us more robust?
Tradesman delays.
Tradesman delays, you're dealing with that at the minute? Planning. Tenants. Brokers. But we've got a good one now, so that's good. But all, say again? Conveyancing, solicitors.
The only difficult problem solving, isn't it?
Of course, but those little problems that we have where the plasterer doesn't plaster the wall properly, planning gets delayed, the solicitor makes a mistake with the paperwork, as frustrating as they are, most of those are fairly small. They're not going to sink us. And as we go through them and we learn, we get stronger and more robust and more able to deal with big challenges. However, sometimes we get hit with one of life's challenges which isn't quite like that. It's more like a sledgehammer, and that's basically what happened to me, and I'm going to explain that throughout the course of this presentation. So a little bit about my background. That's not me, that's Derek Trotter. That's actually an analogy of my dad, because I grew up in Swansea, very working class family, fairly low income family generally, but my dad is he calls himself a wheeler and dealer, and everybody calls him Del Boy because he's always got a scheme. He's always doing something to hobble, to make money. He calls it hobbling jobs because English isn't his first language. He came over here from Syria, so he's always saying, I'm doing another hobbling job. And that could be anything. That could be delivering materials. It could be driving someone to the airport. It could be doing a private dinner for a wedding because he's a chef. It could be anything, basically. And when me and my sister were growing up in Swansea, he always encouraged us to do exactly the same thing. So the first business he pushed me into was selling sweets in school. I went to the cash and carry with him to get some ingredients for the restaurant, and I asked him, can you buy me a bag of those sour dummy things, please, Dad? And so he bought me a box for £3 or whatever, one of those plastic boxes, and I took it to school. And immediately all my friends said, oh, go on, give us one of those. You got 200 in a box. All right, fine, give all my mates a couple of dummies. And anyway, other people start coming to me, come on, give us a dummy. And I thought, you know what, I'll sell them all. Sell them all for 5 pence each or whatever. And I think they cost me 2 pence. So I ended up just basically covering the cost of the box. So I went home, said to my dad, look, there's your 3 or 4 quid back, whatever the box costs. And he said, look, I don't want the 3 or 4 quid back, but you've just doubled your money. You gave half of them away for free. If you'd sold them all at 5p, you would have sold the box for 6 quid. Let's go back to Booker's. So we went back to Booker's and bought God knows how many boxes of sweets, and I started flogging them in school. Anyway, 3 days later, I get caught by the teacher. What are you doing, selling all these terrible sweets? I mean, my son's not even allowed to take a sugary yogurt into school now, but I mean, in those days, they were less strict. And the head teacher, I ended up having to go and see the head of year. She said, look, you can't do this. It's not good for the kids. You're not allowed to make money on the school premises, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they call up, she said, I'm going to call your parents. I said, please do, because I'm thinking, yeah, you could explain to them why. I don't really want to be stuck in the middle explaining to my dad why I'm not allowed to do this. Luckily, my mum answered. And my mum is, she was on the PTA. She's quite good at influencing people. And somehow she managed to convince the school that it was a good idea for me to sell sweets in school. That Wales needs more young entrepreneurs, and that I wasn't effectively doing anything wrong, and so they allowed it and gave me a license for like 2 years to sell sweets, basically. And I made really good money doing that business. At the time, I was making a couple of £100 a week and just blowing it all on cider and cigarettes and chewing gum like every other 16-year-old. But that's basically what I did as my first business. And then my dad then had a friend of his who was Chinese, and she lost her job during the financial crisis. Long story short, in the essence of time, she went out to China. Her uncle forced her to take this massive box of jewellery because he had a jewellery factory, and it was all this amazing like magnetic glass jewellery and what have you. And he said to his niece, look, you need to go and sell it. You're not working in the city anymore. Go out to some shops, try and get some orders, generate me some business. She came back, she got a job straight away, and this massive box of jewellery sat in her hallway, and she's complaining about it when my dad's there. My dad's like, cha-ching, my son will sell that for you. Let me take it back to Swansea in the van. So that was my next business, and I started selling jewellery then for a couple of years. I ended up getting all my stuff from Poland. I used to go back and forth to Poland when I was about 16, 17 years old, and I did that for a while. And I also did a bit of painting and decorating because my dad's very handy. So I was always like hustling when I was younger. My dad, one of the things my dad did, even though he hasn't necessarily been that sort of financially successful himself in the white, you know, from the sense of what we would see as financially successful, he's always taught his children to be entrepreneurial and to get stuck in and not to worry. His like motto is like Nike, it's just do it, you know, think about it later, give it a stab, and what's the worst that can happen? So that was that. I went to university then. I was the first person in my family to go to university. I got first in finance, thought that was really good. I was really, really proud of that. And then I watched Wall Street, the film, with Michael Douglas, and I thought, I'm going to London, I'm going to make 200 grand a year, I'm going to drive around in a fast car. And basically that didn't happen. And I didn't get any of the grad jobs. It was 2009. Don't think they particularly liked the Swansea accent. And basically didn't get, and I couldn't do the tests, you know, like the whole, the tests that you have to do in all the grad jobs, just couldn't do them, just mental block, unable to do them. So didn't get a grad job. Ended up working for Heineken for a while in sales. And then I left Heineken and I ended up joining Aldi, the supermarket. Anyone heard of the Aldi grad scheme when you were in university? What are your views on it? Any initial thoughts?
It's meant to be one of the best. Yeah, it's meant to be really good. They offered you an Audi for like your first year, isn't it, if you were a manager?
Yeah, they give you an Audi.
Like Audi car and 40 grand starting salary or something, but you've got to work like 70 hours.
Yeah, that's basically it. So it's a bit like I think like if you were to join the army, that's like the SAS. You know, like they work you extremely long hours. I mean, they don't work you. You work yourself long hours because the job's really demanding. They give you basically massive responsibility over a multi-million-pound portfolio of stores, 100 to 120 staff that you're responsible for, and you're like 19 years old, which is really difficult and really challenging, as you can imagine. So I did that then basically, and that was basically my main part of my career was at Aldi. I actually loved it there, worked really, really hard. It was really exhausting and grueling, but I actually enjoyed the job, to be honest, because it gave you lots of really great business management skills, which are now quite easily transferable to property. I often say, like, rather than chasing store assistants and thieves, now I'm just chasing builders and all the rest of it, tenants to pay. So at that time, sort of, when I first joined Aldi, I was about 20 years old. I was an avid traveller, used to travel a lot with any of my holidays. These aren't pictures of me, these are just generic pictures. I ran a lot, used to do triathlons, done quite a few marathons. Used to work really long hours, hence the guy under the light. And I used to party a lot, if I'm honest. I used to go to Ibiza and I used to be really involved in the clubbing scene, which involves burning the candle at both ends massively, which I enjoyed, but in hindsight probably wasn't the best thing for my health. So what happened? So I moved house. I bought my first home actually in Cardiff, and I was renovating that with my dad, working probably 70, 75 hours a week in Aldi, going out from Friday to Sunday every weekend whenever I was off, and basically just burnt the candle at both ends. And I basically just started to burn out really young, at sort of early 20s. Started off having really severe problems with my eyes, where I had really severe eye inflammation and really dry eyes that was really impacting my ability to drive, my ability to use a computer, and my ability to sit in an air-conditioned space. All my hair started to fall out. And none of my dad's hair's fallen out, but all my hair started to fall out in the shower, which I thought was really quite strange. I started to get terrible headaches, really debilitating headaches that would cause me to end up in bed for multiple days sometimes. Weirdly, I became completely intolerant to alcohol, and that was my body just saying enough. And I still now, to this day, can't even drink like one sip of beer. I'm just completely allergic to it. Don't know whether my liver just packed in or what, but... And I also, unfortunately, lost a lot of weight. So I suddenly started looking in the mirror and thinking, wow, I look thin. And then I weighed myself and I was thinking, I've dropped like 1.5 stone in the last like 6 months. And, you know, there's no reason for that, basically, other than the booze, which surely couldn't be accountable for that much. So at the same time as me developing all these bizarre health symptoms when I'm in my early 20s, including quite a big change, really, not being able to drink alcohol when you're sort of in your early 20s, Aldi asked me to go out to the United States. And they're quite big over there. Has anyone been to Aldi in the United States? So they've been in the United States since sort of the 70s, and they've been in the UK, I think, since the 90s. So they're actually bigger in America than they are in the UK. Same sort of offering, good value, good quality products. But those are the states that Aldi operate in, and they actually put me in Pennsylvania, in a city called Pittsburgh. And they wanted 10 of us from the UK to go and open up Aldi stores basically all across that whole region, and because they bought another retailer that had gone into administration, and that retailer's buildings basically were all going to be converted into Aldi's. So I wanted to go out there. They offered me this really great role, really good money, really good benefits. So I had to go and beg my wife to come with me. She just had got a new job as a teacher. She had a really good salary. She was really happy. And I said, listen, you've got to come to America with me, because I'm going to, you know, make it really big in the corporate world, and then you can just relax and drink Prosecco and enjoy the rest of your life as sort of my wife. But I'll explain to you how that didn't happen. And I flew. So when I got to America, first thing that happens when you get out there, the team were lovely. Let's go drinking, let's go tailgating, let's go to this festival, let's see this film, let's see this musician. Do you want a beer? Do you want a beer? Do you want a beer? And I couldn't drink, but I was forcing myself to try and have 1 or 2 alcoholic drinks just to sort of fit in, if you like. And I became increasingly intolerant to all foods. Couldn't eat gluten anymore, couldn't eat dairy anymore. Couldn't even eat carbohydrate anymore. I actually started thinking I was actually becoming a rabbit at one point, because I could literally only eat salad and soup and vegetables. I started to get really severe headaches to the point where I almost couldn't work. I started to get terrible brain fog, which is horrible if any of you have ever had that. You know, you're driving to go somewhere and you just forget where you're going. You're in the middle of doing something, you forget what you're doing. You're in the middle of a conversation, you forget what you're saying. And of course, in a really demanding job like I was working in, that makes life really, really hard, especially when you just got to a new company. And they're thinking, I thought this was the crack division of your best area managers. Who the heck is this guy that you've sent us? He's really not very functional at all. So I started panicking, as you would. What on earth is going on with me? Luckily, I had great health insurance. I was also getting paid really good money out there. I had some savings from before. And I basically spent all of my life savings at the time, which was about $70,000 US, to top up my health insurance. And I flew all around America trying to find answers, to see the best possible doctors that I could find to try and find out what was wrong with me. Went to go and see the best rheumatologist. He said, your joints are all swollen. It looks like you've got arthritis, but you test negative for it. Okay, thanks. Go and see the gastro. Your stomach's all inflamed. You've got early stage ulcerative colitis, you know what I'm trying to say, / Crohn's disease. Why? We don't know. Go and see the endocrinologist. Your thyroid's enlarged and it's not producing thyroxine properly, which is why you feel so tired, but we don't know why. So basically, as you can imagine, I'm becoming increasingly skint, increasingly close to getting sacked in work, and increasingly depressed as a result of all of these bizarre things that are happening to me.